Well, it's exciting. My new Sidi boots have just arrived. I decided a few days ago that it was time to maybe think about some extra protection really. I've got sort of short ankle boots at the moment. I've got a pair of richer boots, which have done me very well actually, and I've got to say they're still good, and I will still wear them, but I just fancy something with a little bit more protection, and also thinking about the winter approaching, maybe something with a little bit more rainproofing. So I've pushed the boat out and invested in a pair of these Sidi boots. So let's open the lid and take a look what's inside. Well, doesn't that look nice? £220 from the sports bike shop. Big question is, will they fit? I've gone for a size 47. So let's try them on and see what happens. Hi folks, good to be with you again. It's a while since I've done a product review. Obviously been concentrating hard on the advanced riding skills with Dale and with the IM as well. And this summer I just felt I wanted just to upgrade my kit a little bit. I've obviously went out last, I think October it was, went up to the sports bike shop and blew about £1,000 on all my kit. Got myself a pair of Kevlar jeans, got myself some cheapish boots at the time, they've been okay. Got myself a nice jacket, the Wiser Hydra leather jacket, which I've really enjoyed, and the Shin Neotech as well, which has been great. But just conscious now that spending a little bit more time on the bike, and I wanted to sort of up the protection levels a little bit. So two things I'll be reviewing. The one I'll be reviewing in this film actually is my new boots. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about those, the Sidi Performer Gore-Tex boots. Up to now I've been using these richer slick waterproof boots. I have to say they've been absolutely superb. They didn't cost an awful lot of money. I think I paid about, I can't remember, something like £80 for them, something like that. And they're a really nice pair of boots actually. They give you a decent level of toe protection and heel protection. But you can see the toe isn't, you don't get a huge amount of protection there, and with the heel it sort of squeezes in quite a bit. And of course there's nothing to protect your shin, and as well as that, what I found was that even with my waterproof trousers on, some of the wetter days I've been riding over the winter, you tend to get a bit of a gap sometimes between the bottom of your pants and the top of the boot, which means you sometimes can get damp feet. The boots themselves actually prove very waterproof and resilient, and I've got to say I've been very pleased with those, and I certainly won't be abandoning them. But I just basically needed a bit of an upgrade, I think, really. So obviously I had a chance to look around and see what's out there. So I was interested in a full-length boot. Now, when you start to look at boots, as you will know, there's an absolute myriad of different boot shapes, sizes, colours, specifications, prices. So how do you actually cut through all that and work out what's the right thing for you? Well, in my profession, I train people in the management of large complex defence projects. So I'm actually going to bring one of the same sort of skills there that we talk about into actually the procurement of a piece of kit that's going to make your life a little bit easier. Now, what tends to happen is people tend to go straight for the specification. They tend to zoom straight in on the bells and whistles, really, the sort of features that a particular product has. But what I'm going to suggest today is actually you don't start there. What you actually start is you start with something called the requirement. And often you will see the uninformed mixing up what is a requirement with what is a specification. The two terms are almost used interchangeably. Well, they are very much not, and certainly in terms of defence engineering they're not. So let's define them, shall we? So a specification is essentially a detailed description of the design and materials used to make a product, or by the way, a service or a capability as well, but today we're actually talking about a product. A requirement is different. Very simply, it's what do you want the product to do for you? What effect must it create? So for me, the effect that it must create, I've already started to outline the fact that maybe my feet are getting damp and my feet are getting colder because of this air gap between the bottom of the pants and the top of the boot. I'm looking for an extra level of protection. Going beyond that, then, joking, I like my feet. I'm actually very attached to them, as I'm sure we all are. And what I wanted was that significantly increased level of protection over my richer slick waterproof boots. So that was requirement number one. So requirement number two then is that with the richer slick boots, they're very easy to put on and take off. And looking at some of these sort of full length boots, it does seem very complicated with some of them, and you can have sort of 3-4 buckles and all kinds of different kinds of sort of zips and Velcro and all that kind of stuff. But literally I wanted them to be as easy to put on and take off as these were. I wanted them to be waterproof but breathable, because I'll wear them all year round actually. So they've got to be able to breathe. You've got to at least have a level of breathability on sort of warm days and even on cold wet days as well actually. But they need to be thoroughly waterproof as well, because I want dry feet, and it had to be something that was going to last me a little while, so I wanted something that was going to be enduring, well made, and of a decent quality. They had to be comfortable on and off the bike. So obviously when you ride out somewhere. I went to Ludlow a few weeks back and just had a little walk round. So I'm not going to be marching up and down mountains in them or going a long distance. But you certainly want them to be comfortable on your feet for sort of half an hour, 45 minutes or so, don't you? So, but obviously on the bike as well, they've got to be very, very comfortable. It's almost like you've got to know they're not going to be there. And then just a bit of a funny one as well. I didn't want to look like Iron Man. I think so many of today's motorbike boots, they look like you sort of Iron Man or Buck Rogers or someone like that. And they just look a bit over the top to me. So what I wanted something was very much like myself, someone who is understated but functional, and just basically just to do the job for me. And then the other thing I thought of was I looked at a number of boots, almost like the sort of bottom of the range boots. And I guess we all have a budget, don't we? But for me, I would rather spend, one of my rules in life is I'd always rather spend that much, a little bit more, to get something I'm really happy with, rather than something that I just settle for. And every time I put it on, I think, oh, I just wish I'd spent that little bit more on it. So it had to put a bit of a smile on my face. Now my budget was going to be around about £200. Okay, so because I'm thinking if I buy these, then I'm probably going to get at least 5 years out of them. So that's my requirement. Okay, so that's sort of, there's probably 7 or 8 different points, aren't there? So needs to be understated but functional, not something I'm going to settle for, not too flashy, i.e. looking like Iron Man, needed to be comfortable on and off the bike, needed to be waterproof but breathable, ease of putting on, taking off, and essentially give me a significantly increased level of protection. So I did a bit of research. I visited our sort of local, a couple of shops actually, and went to a couple of motorbike outlets and looked at some of these full-length boots. And then I started tracking down the Sports Bike Shop website, and I came across these. So these are the Sidi Performer Gore-Tex boots. Now, the Sports Bike Shop is usually very, very good in terms of reviews. Interestingly, these have not been reviewed at all on that website up to the present date, August 2018. So I was left on my own little bit. I did find a very good written review online, written by some American chap, which was actually very good. I'll probably give you the reference to that later on if you want to take a read of that. So I started to look at these. These I think were priced at about £190 at Sports Bike Shop. So in terms of, we've looked at the requirements. Now let's look at the specification, because the trick here is you've got your requirement and there's a specification. When you're developing a new product, whether it's like a Type 45 destroyer or an F-35 fighter aircraft or something like that, the customer's got the requirement in mind. There's the itch they can't scratch, there's the need they've got, and the provider, the supplier, has some kind of a product, and the idea is sometimes you have to develop that product, sometimes it can come off the shelf. So these have obviously come off the shelf. So the first thing about the specification of these is they're not made of leather, they're made of something called Techno Micro, which is a man-made synthetic product which is actually woven. So formally it's a composite microfiber material. It's better than leather actually. It's breathable, it's durable, it's never going to crack, it's waterproof, it's stronger than leather, it's lighter. The weight of these really surprised me actually. I think with the richer slick boots, these, I actually weighed these, a sad man that I am, on my wife's Weight Watcher scale, so she's out by the way at the moment, that's why I've got the boots on the kitchen table. I wouldn't be able to do this if she was here. So these richer slick boots, these weighed in at 651 grams. The Sidi boots basically 891, so 36% heavier, but to be honest they're so light, you barely need any sort of lift at all to actually lift them up. They are Teflon coated and they're lined with Gore-Tex, and what that means is they are 100% waterproof. And I've read a number of reviews where basically people have stood in a bucket of water for 10 or 15 minutes and there's no ingress. And one of the reasons for that is, I don't know if you can see there, but the whole thing is actually lined on the inside. So when you actually undo the zip, you don't get a gap, but you actually get this sort of this skin on the inside, which is very comfortable and very cool, I have to say. So as I say, it's 100% waterproof, but actually breathable as well. They use these YKK zips. These are the sort of benchmark in terms of zips, aren't they? But they zip together very, very nicely, and it's just, you know, that's literally all you have to do to take them on and put them off. Actually, it's very, very easy to actually do that. Beautiful stitching. You'll see some of the photographs that I'll put up in front of you in terms of some of the stitching around the various parts of the boot, but you know, under very, very close examination, the thing is beautifully stitched. I years and years ago, back in the late 1970s, for about 3 years for sort of summer holiday pocket money, I worked actually in a slipper and sandal factory, so I got to know the shoe industry a little bit. And Italian stuff has always been the sort of benchmark in terms of sort of style and quality. And apparently with Sidi boots, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but it was Giacomo Agostini used to wear these, as also worn, I think, by someone called Seafly Fisher that you might have heard of, and now being worn by Back to the Bike. So what more can I say there? You'll notice they've got these mesh vents on the back as well, okay, that allow them to just to breathe a little bit. And in terms of the protection, okay, so what have we got in terms of protection? Well, we've got this thing called a toe slider here, which I guess I will never actually use, but some of you, I guess, if you sort of, you know, hacking around a right-hand corner, you might be getting some feedback off those touching down on the ground. The sort of instep area is protected as well by this other sort of slider. You've got very, very strong heel protection here. The toe protection there, whereas I could push the toe protection down on the richer slick boots, you actually can't press it down on here. So that's a very, very strong box area that supports that. And you've got this sort of grippy sort of rubber type thing here, which I guess is for the using on the various controls on the bike, isn't it? So, which is good. And then you've got a nice strong shin protection here as well. Okay, so beautifully made, I have to say. And from what I can gather as well, these Sidi boots have been made to the highest CE approval rating outside of a full race boot, and for those of you with anoraks, that's EN 13634, and apparently gets 2s, which is the sort of highest level for abrasion, impact resistance and transverse rigidity. So I guess if you're coming off and you know, they always say, don't they, dress for the slide, not the ride. Okay, so these do look nice, but actually if you did come off, these are going to protect the lower half of your leg, you know, quite considerably. So I really like these. Now, if I just show you now how easy they are to sort of put on and take off, that might be useful as well. Right, so I've got my Wiser Hydra leathers on, brand new, so just a little bit stiff at the moment. But to be honest, these fit me like a glove. I'll do a review on these at some time in the future. Okay, so here's the left-hand boot. So I'm a size 12, which I think is a 47, European, I think. So left foot just slides in there beautifully, and we zip up, and that's all there is to it, literally. They fit on very, very neatly, and there we go. And I've got to say, to be honest, they're like slippers. You actually hardly know you've got them on. What I've also discovered as well, if you want to, I've done a bit of research on this, by the way. Apparently it's a real sort of biking etiquette thing, isn't it, to wear your leathers inside your pants. But let's just say it was a wet day and my leathers are actually waterproof here, so let's say I wanted to wear them the other way around. Okay, what I've also discovered is there is sufficient flexibility here to actually wear them over, so maybe on a wet day in the winter, if I didn't want rain running down my leathers and actually going into my boots, then actually I could wear them like that as well. So so these actually I've got to say go together very, very well. As I say, I'm absolutely delighted with those. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that review. As I say, these are the Sidi Performer Gore-Tex boots. I paid £190 from mine from Sports Bike Shop. Got the usual excellent service there. So take a look. we'll just quickly go out on the road. So I recorded this bit of film actually a few days ago, so in that film I do say I will be doing this review in the future, well, slightly back to front, so you'll see the review. So let's go onto the road, you can take a look and tell me what you think. Okay, thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you girls, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. Well, you join me on a sunny Saturday morning, folks. A little bit of rain has broken up the heat wave here in the UK. First couple of weeks in August it is, and I'm sitting resplendent in my new leather pants today, the matching leathers to go with my jacket. So the jacket was a Wiser Hydra, and the trousers are the same. So I've been wearing denim jeans, reinforced with Kevlar so far, but I felt they were a little bit baggy, to be honest, and sometimes got a little bit warm and claustrophobic on hot days, so I just felt it was the right thing to do to actually get leathers, more protection. As well as that, they match the jacket as well, so they look a little bit better, but mainly it's around function rather than fashion. So I invested in those, and this is the first time out in them. Perfect fit, I have to say. Used to be a 32 waist a long time ago, but now I'm a 36, and they just literally fitted. Inside leg was perfect. So I'll do a bit of a review on those at some stage. And also on the end of my legs are a pair of Sidi full-length boots now as well. So I've pushed the boat out on those, 220 quid. And they arrived at the same time as the trousers, got them from Sports Bike Shop. Got the usual excellent service, the next day service from those guys. The price matching as well, the cheapest in the country as well, so couldn't be beaten really. That's where I bought the rest of my my gear from, so again I'll be doing a proper review on those boots, but I just put it all on today. I just fancied a little ride out. And as well as that, on Wednesday I'm with Northants Police doing the bike safe course, so looking forward to that. And it's probably a couple of weeks since I've been out actually. We had a bereavement in the family, so been a little distracted really. So just back to it today. So as my mentor says, there's no such thing as advanced riding, it's just doing the basics a bit faster. So that's what I'm trying to do today. I just remind myself of those basics, and that's why I'm out. And also just to get the feel of the new boots and the leathers really. Got police activity up there and a motorbike, I don't know what's going on. So I'm out to practice some corners today on one of the toughest technical roads, and as ever, following my story, I'm working very hard at the trying to hold the line on the right and left handers and maintain drive through the corners. Bit rusty, made a bit of a mess of the gear changes there. Smell from McDonald's wafting over from Toaster Services. Those of you who come to the Grand Prix might be familiar with that particular McDonald's. Right, so less talking now. I'll just talk about what I'm going to see as we enter the curves.